Okay. And what do you get from this scholarship?
Right. First, we need to understand like the structures of fees that NUS and NTU has. So first, there's this thing called the tuition grant.
Okay. So what is the best studying method you have ever used? Like how do you, if you have like a child later on in the future, would you want them to go through Singapore's education system?
I don't know about that. I'm not too sure. But in Indonesia, everyone is just so chill and relaxed. Like if you go to normal high school in Indonesia, everyone is just so chill and relaxed. If there is an exam, like say next week, then we'll just study one day before the exam. And then that's it, right? But here in Singapore, you can't do that because everyone in Singapore, or I guess a lot of the people, not everyone, but a lot of the people in Singapore, especially the Singaporeans, are quite kiasu.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my podcast. Today we have Otto here.
Hello.
Please introduce yourself, what you are working as, and your background here as an Indonesian in Singapore.
Right, so my name is Otto. I've been living in Singapore for the past 6-7 years. So I studied in Singapore back in 2018 and graduated in 2022. Now I'm currently working in Singapore as a quantitative trader in one of the trading companies in Singapore.
Yes, and why I'm bringing him today is because he's super smart. He received ASEAN scholarship, and I think a lot of you guys who might want to go to Singapore through the scholarship route, we can learn a lot from him because he has went through that stage. And of course, as an Indonesian who has worked so hard to reach this stage, I think we can learn a lot from him today. So this video, we're gonna divide it into a couple of segments. First is, of course, the application process of getting the ASEAN scholarship, and then what is the test and interview like when you apply for that, and the study tips from Otto himself, transitioning from Indonesia to Singapore, and of course, what we can learn from his experience, his reflections, and also his life goal. So for the first question, can you tell us more, how did you learn about ASEAN scholarship?
Right, so when I was in high school, I think it was second year in high school, so around 2017, I've gotten to know a bit about NUS and NTU. But then I figured that, okay, going to Singapore might cost a lot of money. So I need to find a way in order to get like some scholarships. So I tried to find more information on their websites and from seniors as well that has already went to NUS at that point of time, and NTU from my school. So
which school?
My high school was in Gading Serpong. So Penabur Gading Serpong.
Oh, okay, okay. So you're from Jakarta?
No, I'm originally from Solo.
Oh, okay, okay.
So I moved to Jakarta, I moved to Tangerang in my after my third year of senior high school, junior high school.
Yeah, junior high school.
Middle school, yeah. Yeah.
So you ask your seniors about the scholarship?
Yes, so the seniors are give me more information about the scholarships, and then actually it's quite easy enough to figure out information because it's all available in the internet as well. Asian scholarships, which we will talk about more later, I guess, is predominantly one of the most common scholarship in Singapore.
So can you describe what's the application procedure? There's like the normal route and the one that he took which was the International Mathematical Olympiad route. Yes.
Right, so basically this is true for both NUS and NTU, but basically there are two routes that you can take. One route is that back in 2018 they have this thing called the University Entrance Examination, or UEE for short. Both NUS and NTU have their own UEEs.
Okay.
And then you will need to prepare for this UEE in order to qualify and getting selected as NUS and NTU student.
Okay.
Right. That's the first route. The second route is that if you win any medal at
any Olympiads or
no certain kind of Olympiads.
Okay.
It has to be international level that is recognized by NUS and NTU.
Okay.
There are a lot of international level math competitions that are not recognized by NUS and NTU.
Okay.
Basically, they only recognize for math. They only recognize the International Math Olympiad, so the IMO for short.
Yeah, which you got.
Yeah, which I got. but
Which medal? Sorry.
I got bronze medal in 2017.
Okay. Okay.
Right. Basically, for these international competitions, they have like different subjects. So math, physics is there, chemistry, biology, computer is there as well. there are like various different branches. If you win any medal at any of these competitions, you only need to take, I think it was IELTS or TOEFL, one of those two, but you need to get a certain kind of score. And if you do get that score, then you are practically guaranteed to first qualify for NUS and NTU, and second you'll be able to get the Asian scholarship. Right,
okay.
almost guaranteed.
Okay,
Right.
okay. And what do you get from this scholarship?
Right. So I guess when we talk about that scholarship, first we need to understand like the structures of fees that NUS and NTU has. Basically, they have, I think it was 18,000 SGD per semester at that time.
Okay.
Right now, I think it might be slightly higher, but yeah.
18,000 for the fees, study fees.
Study fees, right?
Okay.
That's like the school fees,
Okay.
right? So 18,000 SGD per semester. That is roughly maybe 220 million rupiah per semester.
Okay.
But that's
In each year, there's 2 semesters, right?
in each year there's two
Yeah.
semesters, so you have to multiply that by 2.
Yeah.
So first there's this thing called the tuition grant.
Okay.
So how it works is that out of this 18,000 per semester, 50% will be deducted. So you only need to pay 9,000 per semester if you get a tuition grant. What this does is that in exchange for this 50% reduction, you will need to work in Singapore for 3 years after graduation.
Bond.
Right. And then second, if you do get Asian scholarship or other kind of scholarships, this will take care of your remaining 9,000. So then your school fees will become 0. You don't need to pay anything.
Okay.
Right. So what do you get out of this Asian scholarship is that it gives you the remaining half, so the 9,000 per semester, and also it gives you a stipend of around 2,900 SGD per semester.
2,900.
2,900 SGD.
Okay.
2,900 SGD per semester. That is
What's that?
around 33, 34
Round off lah,
million
30,
rupiah.
34. Okay.
34 million
Yeah.
rupiah per semester. Right. So every
What's
month.
that called again? Stipend.
Stipend.
Stipend, what's that?
That's like a pocket money.
Oh, pocket money.
They give you like some pocket
Per
money.
semester?
Per semester, yeah.
Per semester is 6 months, yeah?
Yeah, for
6 months,
That's
2,900. Okay.
that is enough to cover for your hostel and dorms. Basically, you can live here. You can live in the campus dorm for free,
Okay.
and you still have some money left.
Money
but
allowed.
you won't be able to cover your whole expenses. So
Yeah
your
lah.
food and drinks and whatnot won't be covered. Like
Okay.
that won't be enough to cover the
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
expenses. Yeah,
Okay.
but at least it helps with some of the expenses.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what you got when you get the ASEAN scholarship.
Yeah, and I do check that the terms for Asian scholarship is actually still the same. So even today, you still get that same amount.
Okay. So for that, anyone who wants to go through the ASEAN scholarship, you either have to go through the pre-U exam test, or you have to be like him and get a medal for the recognized international Olympiad competitions lah.
Right. Maybe just to add on a little bit, if you first is that if you do get the medal and you score high enough in English test, either IELTS or TOEFL, you will probably get the Asian scholarship. That is route 1. And then route 2 is that you take the UEE. If you score well enough, meaning that let's say they have some cutoff for so above this cutoff you qualify for NUS and NTU, and then they have another like much higher cutoff. Above this much higher cutoff, you'll be eligible to interview for the Asian scholarships.
Okay.
So there is an interview process as well.
Okay, but are you looking for other scholarships apart from ASEAN at that time or no? Just
At that time, I was only looking at Asian scholarships, but there are other scholarships as well.
okay, but why? Why specifically? You can go
because-
to other countries, right? Like America, UK.
Okay, at that point, I was only considering few countries. Canada was one of them, and then Hong Kong
Okay.
and Singapore. Yeah. Out of those 3 countries, I applied through total of 6 universities, 2 on each countries, and then I selected the one that I think is the best, which is NUS.
Okay. You still think that NUS is the best?
Out of these 6, yes, I do.
Okay. Was there an interview process?
Yes.
There's an interview process. Can you elaborate? What did they ask? What was it like?
See if I can remember. This is already like 6-7 years ago, right? So I think they asked me something about like, what do you see yourself in 4 years?
Okay.
How do you like? What kind of roles do you want to take in society later on? Do you want to work? What kind of professions do you want to take? Do you want to be a businessman versus, let's say, a PhD student,
Okay.
or let's say working in a corporate, for example, or any other professions? They also asked me about something like, what are your aspirations? What are your hobbies? What do you do? What are you like outside of like this whole thing? And then also some questions about like motivations.
Okay.
How are you so motivated? Like how do you study and prepare for this? How are you so motivated? Stuff like that.
And what was your answers?
Like frankly, I don't remember. I think I just try to answer like whatever comes to mind. But
Okay.
yeah,
You didn't know that these were the questions, or
I didn't know.
okay, so your seniors also don't know, or did they give you some tips?
I forgot. Maybe I didn't ask.
Okay, now you guys know that it's more towards the motivation
Towards
and
the motivation, long term
yeah.
kind of views of the world.
Okay, did they consider any like financial background or no when applying this scholarship?
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
There
okay.
is any, yeah.
Okay, and before the interview process, how did you prepare? You didn't prepare, you just pray to God and hope the best.
Like, to be honest, from what I've heard from the seniors, if you have the medal plus you have some, and you have the enough, like good enough English scores, either IELTS or TOEFL, then
It's
from
like
what
a
I've heard,
guaranteed
yeah,
process.
it's practically
So
guaranteed.
you didn't really prepare for the interview.
Yeah, just make sure I answer decently, I guess.
Okay.
But yeah, from what I've heard, like other people was kind of preparing like for these kind of questions as well. Like say, what kind of motivations? What brings you here? Like, why do you want to study in Singapore? What do you see in Singapore? What do you see in NUS, NTU? Yeah, and like also what kind of, let's say you apply for specific major. Let's say, I don't know, computer science, for example. You applied for computer science major, then how do you see yourself performing in this major, and also like what kind of aspirations do you have with this major?
Okay,
Yeah.
and which major did you take?
I was a double degree on applied math and computer science.
So please tell us your tips, your study tips. What was your study schedule like? Maybe first we'll talk about how you prepare for your Olympiad competitions, and then your study schedule for your university.
Okay, so first, in my high school, I enrolled in this specific program in my high school. Basically, our program is more tailored towards students who wants to prepare themselves for Olympiad, any kind of Olympiad.
Okay.
So, out of the 5 days we have, so Monday through Friday, we have 2 days that we will call like Olympiad day. So on these 2 days, basically you don't have to go to any class. You just have to
Prepare for the
Olympiad.
Okay.
And they will prepare and they will provide us with like
question.
no, not just questions, like practically the best teachers there is. They will also give like specific teachers.
Okay.
Like my teachers in my high school are actually some of the best Olympiad teachers in Indonesia.
Penabur ya?
Specifically penabur Gading Serpong.
Penabur Gading Serpong.
Not other penabur. Not other penabur.
Please take note, guys.
Yeah, penabur Gading Serpong.
Oh, but that means you just need to tell them, oh, okay, I want to go for the Olympiad, and you just enroll, or they select the students who can actually go for that classes.
So there is these specific classes. If you are enrolled in these specific classes, then you can just say that, hey, I want to prepare for Olympiad on subject X.
Okay.
And then you will be enrolled in this specific Olympiad class for subject X.
Self-enroll. Or they have to invite you to go to that class.
I don't know if it's self-enrolled. If you can catch up with whatever material the teacher is saying in that class, then probably you can just self-enroll. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 2 days of just focusing on the materials for Olympiad.
Yes, 2 days of just focusing in the materials for just the Olympiad. And then the remaining 3 days, I sort of come to class, but I also study Olympiad
Okay.
at night at least.
At night, yeah?
At night, yeah.
And your classes is like from what time to
Oof, like I don't know,
8 to 5?
6:30 or 7? Was that like 6:30 or 7? I think until like maybe 2:30.
2:30, and then
3
at night,
PM.
at night you study for Olympiad.
At night I usually study at Olympiad from say 6-7 p.m. until like I don't know 10-11.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
every day.
Kind of, yes.
Saturday, Sunday included.
Saturday maybe in the afternoon, yes.
Okay.
At night I usually take a break. Saturday
Okay.
night. Then Sunday afternoon I usually take a break, and Sunday night I usually
So, what is the best studying method you have ever used? Like, how do you study?
I guess I will just say like how do I study, but not exactly like the best studying method. I don't think this is the best studying method by any means. For preparing for math Olympiad is a bit different versus, let's say, taking a class in university and preparing for it. When preparing for math Olympiad, you have to really dig deep into the materials. I try to spend some time on each specific sub-subjects of math. Try to sort of distribute them reasonably evenly, and try to study them that way. So, for example, like Monday would be some sub-subjects, and then Tuesday will be some another sub-subjects, stuff like that. And from time to time, I also do my own like mock competitions. So mock competitions is like Math Olympiad is like a time event, right? So you have a particular time, let's say 4 hours, to solve, I don't know, 3 questions, for example. 4.5 hours to solve 3 questions, for example. And then from time to time, I will do like this mock contest, sort of.
Yourself.
So that's how I prepared for Olympiad. But for studying in school, it's a bit different. Honestly, it kind of depends on the semester. If at that semester I have, let's say, just 5 classes. So people normally in NUS or NTU, they took like 5 classes. Then I probably will have like some more time, and then I can prepare more deeply on each subject. But if, let's say, on that semester it's like very hectic, where I'm taking, let's say, 8 classes, because there has been semesters where I'm taking like 8 classes, then on some of the modules I will try to keep track what is going on in these classes, and some of the modules I probably can't keep up. So what I do is that for the easier modules, usually I will try to like sort of quote unquote sacrifice that mod and not study until the final few weeks, and just catch
Okay.
up with everything.
Who do you think created the most impact to where you are today? Is it your family or it's yourself?
I would say my family has a lot of roles in this, and also I would say society, because after my middle school, so my primary and middle school, I was enrolled in a normal school, basically, in Solo. But from my high school, I was enrolled in this like specific class in Penabur Gading Serpong, as I mentioned earlier. So having the kind of environment where everyone is sort of driven and competitive, this sort of strengthens you too, because like everyone is trying to achieve certain kind of goal. And this happens at a very young age, right, from high school. So I feel like this sort of develops my mentality and make me what I am today. So in my school, a lot of the people in these specific classes, so my classmates, or let's say my 1 year, 2 year seniors, or 1 year, 2 years junior, a lot of them are trying to pursue medal in the National Science Olympiad, as I mentioned earlier. And also a lot of them are trying to study abroad. So I have friends, my classmates are enrolled in, let's say, various different countries like Hong Kong or maybe Taiwan, US, Canada, various different countries.
Okay. And moving on to how you transition from Indo to Singapore, what do you feel when you first get to know, okay, you finally receive your ASEAN scholarship, you need to move to Singapore? How did you prepare and everything?
Honestly, these questions might not be the best for me to answer, simply because I have already been living alone. Well, not alone, I stayed in a dormitory, but basically I've been
Away from your
my
family?
parents
Yeah, okay.
since high school, right?
Okay.
So that is one part of it. So a lot of people that I know, they struggle with, let's say, being away from parents. They miss their parents a lot. They are usually comfortable on certain kind of situations because their families are around, but now that's not the case, for example. And also the other component of it is that when you move to Singapore, I know that a lot of my friends developed some kind of study shock.
Yeah.
Like basically, they got like culture shock. So in Indonesia, everyone is just so chill and relaxed. Like if you go to normal high school in Indonesia, everyone is just so chill and relaxed. If there is an exam, like say next week, then we'll just study one day before the exam, and then that's it, right? But here in Singapore, you can't do that because everyone in Singapore, or I guess a lot of the people, not everyone, but a lot of the people in Singapore, especially the Singaporeans, are quite kiasu.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know, how you translate kiasu? How do you translate
Afraid to
kiasu?
lose.
Afraid to lose, exactly. Right. So they will chiong.
Yeah.
What is chiong?
Chong is like they will work very hard and
Yeah.
like push very hard.
Yeah, they will sacrifice their sleeps in order to
Yes,
study.
yes, correct.
Basically, yeah. And this is like for maybe like 50% of the
Yeah.
cohort. It's not just like say the top 1% of the cohort, but it's like the whole cohort is
Yeah.
like half of the whole cohort is like doing that.
Especially in NUS, yeah.
Especially in NUS
Yeah.
and NTU. Like I've heard stories of that as well. So yeah, it kind of like being in such competitive environment might become a shock for them at first because you will then have to prepare for exams weeks prior before
Yeah,
the exam.
correct.
Yeah,
Weeks prior, yes.
Weeks prior, yeah.
And they have a lot of assignments as well, right?
Yeah.
In NUS.
Yeah. Depends on the class, but
Yeah.
yes.
So you have to juggle like doing team group assignments as well, and then mid-semester exams and all that.
right. So typically, what I do is that when I am about to enroll in a new semester, what I try to do is that I try to make sure that the classes that I'm taking has a balance of all these things.
Yeah.
Meaning that I don't have, say, more academic problems that I need to solve because each of these modules will ask you or like will test you differently, right? Some modules require, say, more consistent effort. Some modules require just one day before the exam, you just need to study it, and then come exam day, you just need to whack them on. There are classes like this, right? So typically, I try to balance them in such a way such that I'm pretty sure that I'll be able to do all this together.
Okay.
So say one way that I try to strategize is that in NUS and NTU there's this thing called the SU.
Yes, I know.
Right. So SU basically means that you can, for a certain kind of modules, you can transform the grades of these modules into S or U, whether you pass or fail. Right. So for example, you get a C grade. So C is actually not very good for your whole GPA.
Yeah.
But then if this module is SUable, then you'll be able to turn the C into S, which stands for pass. So S means pass and U means fail. So you have to do it again.
Okay.
Right. So I will try to say balance some modules that I just need to pass. So let's say English module. This is typically like easy for me. Not easy because I'm very good at it and I will get A, but easy for me because I just need to pass. So the passing bar is not very high.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I just need to get C and then that's it, right?
Okay.
And then I will try to balance that with, say, some modules, my core modules. Let's say I'm studying math and computer science, so my core modules would be math and computer science.
If you have like a child later on in the
Right.
future, would you want them to go through Singapore's education system?
I don't know about that. I'm not too sure, but maybe not.
Okay.
Because I feel like Singapore education system really benefits you if you're very, very sort of academically inclined.
Yeah.
And then my children might not be very academically inclined. So it might or might not benefits them. So yeah, we'll see.
Okay, moving on to your reflection and more towards his personal motivation in life. If you could turn back time, what would be the key areas that you would want to improve on or want to change?
If I can turn back time, honestly, I don't really regret anything. I think whatever has happened in the past is sort of, yeah, it happened. So whatever happens, happens. And yeah, I try to reflect from time to time. I think my time in high school has made me who I am today. As I mentioned previously, basically being surrounded by people who are motivated and working towards some kind of goals. That is, I think, very important in my developmental process, I think. So yeah, I'm very, very grateful for that. And I'm very grateful that I guess my parents and I made the choice to move from Solo to Tangerang. So that's, yeah.
Okay, so those are the key moments in your life that you feel you are most grateful for to reach where you are today.
Yeah, I will say so. I guess the key moment for me is that I qualified for the IMO team in 2017. But in order to qualify for the IMO team, I need to make the choice back in middle school, right? So that's when I think this whole thing starts.
Okay, and how did you feel ASEAN scholarship change your life?
Changed my life in the sense that I would be able to now get access to some of the best educations in the world, some of the best university in the world. In that regards, ASEAN scholarships really helped me to be able to enroll in NUS without any fees. So I don't really have to I don't really need to pay for any tuition fee. My parents doesn't have to pay for that as well. So that's definitely relieving, because I know some of my friends also has tuition grant, but they also take some student loan. So there's this tuition grant part, and then there's this remaining part, right? So for this half remaining part, they take some student loans, and then they or their parents pay the rest.
Yeah.
So some of my friends that are taking student loans, they will probably typically need like say 1 to 2 years in order to clear out their student loans.
Yeah.
So either they clear it out themselves, or their parents will pay for it.
Yeah,
but
correct.
Either or.
Okay, yeah, that's very good lah ya. Like your parents don't need to
Think too much about it.
fork up more money, because a lot of people find that Singapore is also very expensive in terms of education, and not everyone has the opportunity to go here and have this kind of education lah. So in 5 or 10 years time, with all the experience that you have, where do you see yourself making the most impact?
I do want to go back to Indonesia in say the next 10 to 20 years. I don't know about 5 years. I don't think I'll go back in 5 years. But maybe 10 to 20 years I want to go back, but we'll see what happens. I do think that if I go back to Indonesia, I'll probably be able to make some impact. I don't know in which field yet, but I'm quite interested in education. That's
Education,
it.
yeah.
Because I feel like this whole thing stems from me having a good educations, having access to good educations, and then being able to study in NUS, and then now I'm working in Singapore. So I kind of feel like in order to give back, I sort of want to help out with less privileged students in order for them to be able to get access to better educations. So say some kind of scholarships for students from rural areas or something like that. But yeah, we'll see.
Okay, let's wish him good luck. Maybe you should be an influencer, education influencer.
Nah.
We want to support you. Can we know what's your LinkedIn or your Instagram that you can share to the audience?
Yes, my LinkedIn is Otto Alexander Sutianto. You can find the link down below. My Instagram is Otto Alexander S.
Please follow him if you want to know more about scholarship. And to conclude, what is your best advice for anyone who is looking to try to apply for ASEAN scholarship?
I think the most obvious advice here is to not be afraid and just try. I think that's the first thing that you need to do. A lot of the students, I feel they have this kind of mental block. Like, for example, I won't be able to get this scholarship because there are people from, say, Jakarta that has better access to educations and has bigger chances to get the scholarships. And while that might be true, that doesn't mean you have 0 chances. You will have 0 chances if you don't apply. But you'll have, however small that chance is, you will have some chances if you just try. So I think you just need to try to dig deep into what you want to do in the futures, and then try to strive for it and don't give up and don't be scared. Don't be scared. I think is the most underrated thing here.
Yes, correct.
Don't get afraid. Don't have this mental block.
Yeah.
think is very important.
Yes, always try and don't be scared. Thank you, Otto, for being here
Thank you.
today.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, we'll see you guys again on our next video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to know more about life in Singapore and beyond it.